Welcome to the Wardenberg Family Farm with Don and Brenda.
We were actually talking last night about all the things we wanted to do in 2024. We thought, let's look back and what we got done in 2023. And we started thinking about it. It's like, we got a lot done. Once we started listing them out, it's like, wow, we had a busy year.
Yeah. So we're going to have a little planning session here, and we're going to think amongst ourselves and taking some notes here and kind of looking at what we do. And maybe we have a few areas we probably could use some input from you too. So looking last year, the thing that I'm excited about is our bees. Remember we did the bee wall, and
the bee wall is a wind protection for the bees because we get a strong wind from that direction.
Yeah, we're in the Cumberland Valley and it's open, and with that north wind, I think really hurt our bees over the winter, and we lost hives.
And we had a wall that had like further apart boards. This one's more solid, higher, deeper.
This one is rock solid. It's built with telephone poles, and then I got big oak boards across it. So it's whatever, it's working,
Yeah, it's a big wall.
Because we've had a few days a little bit warmer. We still have snow on the ground right now, but a little warmer, it's melting, and the bees have been flying, and I can tell they're flying out of every one of the 4 hives. So.
Yeah, and we didn't have 4 hives in the beginning of last year.
No, we didn't. And we've been selling a lot of honey. I think we're becoming known for our quality honey here.
We've been eating a lot too.
Yeah. It's good to sell it, and very high quality. And the only problem is we're running out of it. So now with 4 hives, hopefully going to make it through the rest of the winter. I mean, it's the end of February. We'll be feeding them here shortly, and I have really high hopes for that. 4 hives.
But one of the new hives we got from a swarm.
Yeah.
One of our hives swarmed into a pine tree right next to them. And we were able to capture it, that was fun, and get it into a hive. So we got an extra hive for free.
One thing I've learned in the spring, and that's when they tend to swarm, that it's good to drive by the bees 2 or 3 times a day just to make sure that everything's okay, because a couple times now we've caught them swarming, and that is, if you've ever seen it, a fantastic thing with 10 or 20,000 bees. I mean, literally swarming. It was like you can hear them. It's very loud, very loud. And then you just wonder where they're going to land. They usually take off and land somewhere temporarily, and then the scouts go out and look for a new home. So we'd like to help them with a new home. We have extra hive frames and others, so we're very happy for them to move in.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool day.
Yeah. And then the honey's not the only thing.
No, I was going to say we made beeswax candles for the first time with our own beeswax.
Yeah. The thing that really surprised me, though, is how long those candles burn. Most candles burn very quickly and down. These are very slow burning, which is great.
And they smell good, even with no oils or anything in them. Just the smell of the natural beeswax and the honey. It smells delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. So do we have enough, with all this honey, do we have enough jars and labels and everything?
I'm stocked up and I'm ready for this year.
Okay.
We just need the honey.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So, looking at the market garden, what are your highs and lows?
It was a pretty good year in the garden. Tomatoes, peppers, that kind of stuff did well. The one thing that was a total failure was cantaloupe. It got some disease early on and just died. And I love cantaloupe, so that was a big disappointment.
Was it last year or the year before that your tomatoes were just...
The year before.
Okay.
They just didn't thrive. A lot of people in the area said their tomatoes didn't do well, and we don't know why.
It's funny how some things, it's like it's the year for cucumbers or something, and they go crazy, and there's really no reason for it, at least that we would know.
Yeah, because it wasn't any strange weather,
Yeah.
But we had a lot of tomatoes.
So you happy with the balance and the layout and everything that you have?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to tweak a couple things in the garden, but overall it went pretty well.
Well, I know you said you weren't going to do watermelon.
No.
And that's going to save space.
That'll save space and save headaches later on.
So what are you going to do that we don't become overwhelmed with weeds?
A couple things. I want to really go into spring with things being mulched very well. And we've been working on that, putting down compost, and then I'll put mulch in the pathways. And a couple places I am going to use landscape fabric. I don't usually use that, but for cantaloupe, I'm going to use it because when it vines out, you can't weed around the vines or you'll step on things. So they'll be vining out over landscape fabric, and that should keep the weeds under control And I hope to get cantaloupe that way.
You know, another experiment is I bought a couple sections of rubber roofing, and I'm going to cut them the width of the aisleways. Now you have your wood chips down, but later in the summer, you know, and I know you pull the weeds, but
The weeds can get out of control.
we're going to try putting down, they're only going to be like 18-inch wide or maybe 2 feet. Lay them down for a week or two to kill the weeds under it, and then you can move them from path to path. So
It really does work to
Yeah.
choke out the weeds and burn out the weeds.
Yeah. So we just can't let weeds overwhelm us.
No, and that was a challenge at the end of last year.
Well, last year was a little unusual. On the good side, we were able to take a couple of vacations, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had a family vacation with the whole family, went to a lake.
And stayed in one house with the whole
Yeah.
family, and that's a lot of people. We had a great time.
Yeah, and I think we were still under control after that because we prepared for it. The market garden was in great shape. We had a local farmer watch over things here while we were gone. But our second vacation we did, we hadn't taken vacations for a while. Brenda and I just took a trip, a cycling trip for a week, and that's where the wheels started to fall off.
Because when we came home, we got sick.
Yeah.
He got better quickly. I didn't. I kept overdoing it and getting sick. And then I'd feel better and I'd overdo it and get sick again. And it went on and drug out for like 5 weeks.
September and October were really not good.
So picture a garden that doesn't really get weeded for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was bad.
We did a video on that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was a nightmare.
So not everything always goes as planned, but when you're such a small crew and team, if one of you is down,
You're in trouble.
yeah. So what did we do to dig ourselves out with all those weeds were there?
We did a lot of weeding.
Yeah.
I mean, bucket loads of tractor bucket loads pulling out of the garden.
Yeah.
And got it cleaned up.
Yeah, for fall, and it ended
But
looking pretty good.
yeah, but the other thing about being sick that time of year is I didn't get any fall plants going. I wanted to do a lot of fall planting and gardening and have things going into the winter.
And the high tunnel. You
None
wanted
of that. Even in the garden, I could have had a whole
in the high
second crop
tunnel.
of all that stuff, and I didn't. I couldn't do it. So that was a disappointment for me.
The orchard was good though.
Yes.
Our trees are now 4.5 years old, and we had fruit last year. We didn't have enough to really sell, and we're still working on the quality. We're trying to use organic sprays and trying to get a quality of fruit that would be good to sell.
So being organic, you don't always get pretty fruit.
No. But we had a ton of apples, didn't we?
The apples were amazing. We made every apple product known to man, gallons and gallons of applesauce, and we even made our own apple cider for the first time.
Yeah, that worked out really nice.
And we did get
apple cider.
peaches, just enough to eat, fresh
Yeah.
eating, but none to can. So I'm hoping we get more this year.
We got enough that encourages us for the future because fresh peaches, and as you know, are amazing.
But now we need to get some fresh pears. The pears really didn't do well this year. So
No.
hopefully next year we'll get some pears too.
And some of it is they're just very immature trees. So here we are, it's almost the end of February, and for the last week or so, I've been working in the orchard doing the pruning and getting ready for the year. And we're also talking about some changes coming in the orchard. So also for the garden, what didn't work well? I don't know, for me, the pumpkins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you
This
had a
is
tough year with
the
pumpkins.
third year for the pumpkins, and I haven't had a really good year yet. Embarrassed to admit. Last year we had maybe 60 or 80 pumpkins, but very few of them were big.
Yeah, they were very small and just
Yeah.
didn't thrive. So
Well, we planted what were they, sugar baby? Those the
yeah,
small
or
ones.
cinnamon girl, I think.
Cinnamon girl.
for pie. They're jack-o'-lantern looking, but they can make pies.
And you got a lot.
Yeah, I did. Anything that didn't sell, we turned into pumpkin.
But I
I've
was
been
looking
making
for
pumpkin
some
pies.
of the big jack-o'-lantern type to sell at our fruit stand.
And the farm stand did well last year. We had a really good year in the farm stand,
Yeah.
selling all kinds of vegetables and flowers, a lot of flowers.
We're very fortunate to be on a road where we're only like 6 blocks from a larger farm with a much larger market that people come all over the area. And so friends that we have come by and see us first, and
See what we have, and then they get whatever else they need there.
yeah. So that works out good. So I think our fruit stand and the farm stand's good.
Yeah, it did well.
And the market garden, I think, will do well as long as we don't get sick.
Yeah. Yes. That would be definitely number one goal for 2024 is don't get sick.
Yeah.
See if we can do that.
So looking back inside the house, I mean, this was a fun thing last year, the step back cabinet.
We looked for 4 years from the time we moved in here for the right cabinet. I mean, I knew I wanted something big there, something old, something kind of beat up. And, a lot of places, they're very expensive. And so we looked and looked and looked and looked. Finally, drove a couple hours away and found one. It needed painted, needed some work, but
needed work.
it turned out perfect. I mean, I'm thrilled with it.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. Every time we look at it, we go, oh, we found it. We finally found the perfect piece.
Yeah, so that inspires you for potentially other changes here in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
who knows?
Which we can't talk about yet because it's not 2024
No.
planning.
We have all kind of plans out there.
Okay, so what else? I think the whitewash was a big success.
Oh, the whole root cellar.
The root cellar and the larder, we learned how to do whitewash proper.
But first you had to do the radon.
Oh, that's right.
That was this year. The root cellar had very high radon. So that was a huge project, figuring out how to get some ventilation in there to get the air circulating through, not just for radon.
But for the temperature. So
Yeah.
we ended up buying a control system, fans, and temperature. It's even on my phone. I can tell what the temperature is in the root cellar. So
But he had to dig pipes all under the ground, inside the root cellar and up the wall and through the
they
back
had
of
to
the
go
house.
out the stone wall, which was tricky in the back wall. So
It was a big project.
yeah,
but he did
I wasn't
great.
looking forward to that,
he
but I was
wasn't.
very happy when it was done.
But whitewashing wasn't fun either.
No, that was. It's not like painting directly. You put this opaque water on there, and you go like, this isn't doing anything. And then a couple hours later, and starts to dry, and it gets white.
Whiter, but you still have to do like 2 or 3 coats of it.
Yeah.
And try painting stone and mortar.
Yeah, so that basement down there, and the stone and the mortar is 180 years old, and some of the sand and the lime mortar was coming off. But I was surprised that the whitewash tightened it all up, and so it not only is brighter, it's clean and it's kind of bacterial,
Anti-mold,
fungal.
yeah. It's very clean and healthy down there.
Yeah, I know you missed the color of the gray rocks and seeing that, but
But you can tell it had been whitewashed years and years ago. There was remnants of it left, so it's more what it should be.
more authentic, definitely. So what else in the house? I think that
was it.
Yeah. So we don't need to do anything next year in the house, right? Okay. Well, we'll get to that.
I always have plans.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a great year.
Yeah.
Other than getting sick, that was the big disappointment.
We did get to ride our bikes more,
Some.
and we had some vacation time away. But the big thing that kind of dominated the year's operation, we were getting sick a handful of times.
When you have a farm or a homestead, you can't neglect it. Things go downhill very fast. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so now we can talk about 2024 and what our dreams are and hopes.
Okay. 2024.
Well, if we had been sitting and doing this list January 1st, the first thing on the list would have been the bathroom upstairs that needed remodeled, that we've been putting off for 4 years. And it's done. That was the one big project we wanted to get done over this winter, and thank goodness it's done.
And I enjoy it every time I go in there.
Yeah, because that's the bathroom he uses most, so. But it was not an
It's
easy
great.
project.
You forgot the most important thing
What's that?
already. We stay healthy.
Yeah, that would be number one goal. Stay healthy. Don't get sick like last year.
Now you drink your fire cider every day.
Yeah, now with fire cider and elderberry tincture, hopefully that'll help.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll keep exercising and eating healthy and taking your supplements.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay, so what can we realistically get done and still keep everything going that we have around
Yeah,
here?
we got to keep everything flowing. But I want the high tunnel to have the fans. We put the high tunnel in 3 years ago, and the fans are there to blow the hot air out and stuff. They've just never been hooked up. So
Well, we had to, in fairness, they're about 400 or 500 feet away from the farmhouse, so we had to run the electric lines underground. So fortunately, we had the foresight when we did the irrigation that we also put in the underground electrical lines. We just haven't connected them yet.
No. So that's number one on my garden list.
Yeah, that would be good. So right now we have to go out there every day in the morning.
We?
Usually just her.
Like, oh, it's getting hot. I got to open the tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting cold. I got to close the tunnel. I'm the
And that
temperature
means
control.
sliding the doors on either end and then
Or
rolling
putting the
up
sides up and
sides.
down. So with the fans, that would keep it, I won't be as urgent that I get out there and open it up.
Yeah, now we'll still be opening the sides in summer, but it's crazy when you have days that's 40 degrees or 45 degrees and it's sunny. It can be 80 degrees in there,
Yeah.
and 85 very quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. We'll put that at the top of the list.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, and the thing you're doing in the garden is making your orchard bigger.
Yes, we're expanding the orchard. I want to do more peach trees because we love the peaches. And we lost a couple of trees. We had some
Peaches are hard.
Yeah, especially in the spring. Well, you got to hit it with the fungicide pretty hard because they get hit. So we're putting more peaches in, and then I'm going to do some more unusual nuts and fruits that you don't see everywhere. So
We actually have some small pawpaws that somebody gave us, and we've had them in the nursery and inside the garden. And I think they're getting big enough we can plant them out and protect them really well.
So we don't have it full. I'm working on the fence. I just started, so we'll do a video on that and just wait and see what we put in there. Some very unusual trees and plants. So can't wait for that.
Then you have more fruit trees to spray and take care of and
But
harvest.
once you figure it out and you have the right equipment, it's not that much harder to take care of 60 when you have 40. Going from 40 to 60 is not.
You can do it.
Yeah.
They're pretty much his trees. That's his area.
Yeah. So, is there anything else in the market garden area and change?
For me, the big thing is just to be able to keep ahead of things, which not getting sick would help, but I'm going to actually use landscape fabric in some places, like cantaloupe. That would be my biggest goal in the garden this year, is to get cantaloupe. I love cantaloupe, and they failed last year. I am determined to get them. So I'm going to actually grow them in landscape fabric, so when they vine out, there won't be weeds growing all around the vines that I can't get to. So we'll see.
Yeah, any of those vining, I mean, that's what makes, in the high tunnel, having the cucumbers going up, rather than, you can keep better control.
Yep, you keep everything cleaned up and neatened up. But in the garden, when things vine out like that, you can't really walk through them and get the weeds, or you step on the plants.
Now, last year, though, you tried putting the cantaloupe on the trellis.
That didn't work.
No.
That was a total failure.
Is it because it won't grow that way, or is it they just got...
I think it could work, but they did get some kind of virus or fungus or something. They just all died.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's probably better for them just to vine out and grow on the ground.
So anything else in the orchard?
don't think
in
so.
the garden?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so we did the bathroom, and then we have the parlor floor. The parlor right now is covered mostly with a throw rug.
That we found on Facebook Marketplace, but it's not painted. It's actually just plywood, which we've lived with for 4 years.
Not painted. It's just a plywood floor.
Yeah, it's just a plywood floor.
Yeah, so we need to put hardwood flooring down. So my son and I will probably work on that.
Probably next fall, next winter. That'll be the winter project. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost March. At this point, gardening starts picking up, and we aren't going to have much
The
time.
floor in the kitchen here in the area is not in great shape. We love it's oak, and it's got a lot of character with the wood stain and the knots in it. But this house was vacant for almost 3 years, and the flooring got cuffed a little and was damaged. So we keep going back and forth between should we bring somebody in or sand it and refinish it. But it sounds like a nightmare.
Or just live with it.
Getting dust through the whole house and having the place
Moving all the
stink.
heavy furniture.
So,
we're on the fence on that one.
If you've gone through that with the floor finishing and you really loved it, it was great, let me know. She's kind of
If it
putting
was
the brakes.
worth all the mess and the effort.
Yeah. That's not as high on your list, is it?
That's at the bottom.
Okay.
If it's even on the list.
All right. I'd like to get the flooring, done. What we would prefer is to have like 8, 10, 12 inch heavy pine flooring.
which is what's under this oak. But the previous owner, they tried to refinish the pine floors and use them, but they were so old and dry, the knots just all started falling out, and they couldn't
And
do it.
splintered, and you know.
So they put the beautiful oak floor over the pine, which it's nice, but yeah, we've been more preferred to have the pine.
You know, it probably seems silly to folks if we rip out an oak floor
Yeah, we
and put
can't
a
do
pine
that.
floor in.
We can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know your advice on that one if you have any experience with that. So what else do we want to do next year?
Let's see.
We talked about goats.
That's something
Or-
else we need your advice on. We're
Yeah.
toying with the idea of getting goats or possibly meat chickens.
Yeah, we haven't done the meat birds yet, and we do have the pasture space, and we would probably do a chicken tractor and move them around.
So he would have to build that.
Yeah. But, you know, we took on so much when we first moved in that we put the brakes on and said, let's give it a couple years to try to really fine-tune what we're doing and settle in before we take on anything new. Now we're trying to decide, do we want to jump into something else new, like other than the orchard? What do we want to do?
I mean, the grandkids definitely want goats. They'd love to have little goats around here.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is we've always had a dog. We've had 3 golden retrievers, and we lost ours a year and a half ago, and we're trying to decide if we should get a puppy, another golden retriever. We love those dogs, but they're such a hair mess. You know, our cars and everything, I don't know.
They're just always hair everywhere.
Yeah. And then, and we love the dog, but we take the dog out back, and what's the dog do?
Goes right to the compost and eats.
Yeah, he eats compost. It's half compost because it smells great, I guess, if you're a dog.
To a dog.
But then you get sick and it's just a mess. So
We're on the fence on that one too. Sometimes I really think I do want a dog. Then other times it's like, do we have time to take care of a puppy? I don't know.
we just need a dog that won't root around through the compost in the garden.
Yeah, if anybody has a
and get
dog
sick.
that doesn't eat poo, let us know what kind that is. And doesn't shed would be preferable.
Yeah.
Or not shed as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are goals or question marks, the animals and the dog. The
Yeah.
others, the Barnasium.
That's true. And we just actually started on that a little bit. So we're getting help from the family. I have this beautiful barn, and we're using about a third of it, you know, storing hay, storing straw, and we might put goats in there, and of course the cattle use it
But the
down
goats
below.
will be on the first floor. The whole second floor, a lot of the second floor is
Yeah, so we have a
usable.
lot of extra space up there. So the kids would love, the grandchildren would love to have a place where they could have a fort, a place where they could shoot basketball or play, you know, hockey or something when the weather is bad, snowing, raining, what have you. So we've started that. So we have a lot to do, replace flooring in there. The lighting needs to be improved. We have a lot of old wood and junk.
But
Some
the
of it's
potential
pretty
is
neat.
amazing. I mean, picture kids having a fort like in the grain room.
Yeah,
They would love that.
Yeah.
Maybe even a slide board coming from above the grain room down to the straw area. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities.
and a big swing.
Yeah, maybe a couple swings.
Yeah.
It'll be
So
fun.
If you know anybody that's done that in a barn, or you've done it or had experience as a kid years ago in the barn, we'd love to hear about that.
Got to make the barn a blast, but safe for grandchildren.
And we still want to keep it in its natural. We don't want to make it into, you know, something modern.
No.
We want to keep its original. And I'm sure kids have played in barns
For years.
for years and years and years. So I think it's kind of in the spirit of the family on the farm.
Yeah. But you'll just have to keep an eye on us this coming year and see if we do accomplish those goals. At the end of the year, you can hold us accountable and tell us how well we did.
All right. Well, we got the checklist, so we'll be able to check.
But it'll be
ourselves.
interesting to see what all we do this year and how what is successes and what are failures. I hope there's not too many failures.
Yeah,
But who knows? You get through it, whatever. It'll be a fun year on the homestead.
it will be. So thank you for joining us on the Wardenberg Family Farm.
We'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.